Today I bring you the entire process for making these beautiful coasters. It's really fun and I hope that you will enjoy it. Let's get started. The first thing that I want to show you is my process for creating the template that is going to be used to print the artwork. This is a simple 8.5 by 11 template that I have created in Affinity, and I import all of the square images that are going to be used for any of the coasters, as you can see here, and line them up. The important thing to understand here is that you have to size these on the template to slightly bigger dimensions than the coaster itself. I believe the coaster that I use, which are coming from Heat Press Nation, are 3.80 inches square, and I have these images set up as 3.94 because that is the size that gives me just enough extra bleed so that I don't end up with, misprints or like a hairline, which I was getting when I was trying to get them to be exactly the same size. That's a mistake. You shouldn't do that. What you need to do is size it just slightly bigger than your coaster so that your coaster fits comfortably in here, and there's at least a couple of millimeters on every side, preventing or making sure that you're gonna get ink on the entire surface of the coaster. That is all we need to know for this portion of the tutorial. The actual coasters that I will be making today are these two. They are actually inspired by a court of thorn and roses. Most people call it Akotar for short. One more thing I wanted to explain is that you're gonna use heat press tape to secure the coaster in place on each side. So you want this space to be enough so that you can put like a tape here and I can put a tape here. And then these are pretty comfortable to set up. Not a big deal. So once that is done, all you have to do is send this to your sublimation printer. My sublimation printer is the Brother SP1, and the only thing that I need to make sure that is set up correctly here is the quality has to be normal, which is the highest quality, and you have to go into layout and we need to mirror this. So we're gonna flip horizontally, right? Because there's a sublimation, so it needs to be printed reverse so that when you finally bake it and print it, it looks correct on the surface that you're putting it on. So from here, we're just gonna click on print, and that is all there is to this section. We're gonna now move on to actually setting up the heat press and the coasters for the sublimation session. So this is the printout as it has just come out of the Brother sublimation printer. We're going to now let it sit and dry for a little bit, and then we'll go on to proceed with the printing process. So you will notice, and I know that a lot of you are familiar with this, but when you print anything in a sublimation printer, the colors look quite dull on the printout and fade out. Of course, this all gets activated once you apply the heat to the material and to the paper, and this ink becomes a gas that permanently adheres to the sublimation blank that you're using, and then they become really vibrant at that point. So that's where they get the true color that you're going to see in the end. These are the coasters that I use. They are available at Heat Press Nation. I am not affiliated with them in any way, but I wanted to let you know where to get them because they're amazing. They are beautiful, they're shiny, and they work really well, and they look amazing once you do them. Now, when you get them, they have a coating, a protective coating that you have to remove before you attempt to sublimate on them, otherwise they're not going to work. So you see, I'm getting this film removed here. So then after you do that, then you do actually reveal the actual surface where the sublimation will take place. It's really important that you remember this. I mean, I remember it not all the time, but I think I might have tried to sublimate on them the first time around without removing this, which was silly. Luckily, all I had to do was remove the film and try them again because obviously the ink was on the paper and not on the coaster, but the coaster was perfectly fine and ready to be sublimated again. Nothing too bad about that experience. Clean them up. You may get some dirt on the edges there where the paper was. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to set this up. So the next step is to clean them with a lint roller I have right here. Make sure there's no debris on them, no gunk. I'm going to set it down like that for now and clean the other one. That's pretty good. And that goes there. Now the next task is to make sure that they are centered on this design, which I'm going to do right now. I'm just making sure that there is a little bit of printed ink or printed design outside of the edges of this. And once I have that ready, I'm going to use heat resistant tape to secure the coaster in place. That. And the last one for this one down here. And we're ready to go for that. Gonna do the same with this one. I always hold it down while I am putting the first two pieces of tape. From there, it's already kind of like secured and stable in there. It's not gonna move, so you can move your hands away. But those first two are important because there's nothing holding the coaster down while you're putting those on. Now this becomes what we actually take to the heat press machine. They will be placed like this with the design on top and the coasters underneath. There will be some protective material underneath between the bottom of the coasters and the bottom plate of the heat press. And then there will be another sheet of parchment paper on top protecting the top of the heat press from the sublimation paper, so that in case there is some transference ink from here up, it doesn't really touch or get to the top plate. You always want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I will show you that process next. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is set up the heat press. I have this cardboard that I use to set the coasters. I reuse it over and over and over. That's why you see these marks on it. There's no problem using this. There's no transference of old ink into the new sublimation that you're doing, so it's completely safe. This I use to protect the bottom portion of the heat press so that it doesn't get any ink on it. So that goes on first. Then we take the setup that we did earlier with the two coasters ready to be sublimated, and we're going to put this down like so. Now on top of this, we're going to put another parchment paper, and that's it. That's the setup for sublimating the coasters. Now the last thing that I need to do is to set up the pressure of this. I set this up earlier for the tote bag that we were doing in a different video, and I just tested the settings there. I think I might need a little bit more pressure, and you just adjust that on the heat press as needed. I think maybe about there. Yeah, so that it is medium pressure, not a lot, but medium pressure and steady. Okay, so we're gonna turn on the machine and we're going to set the temperature to 400 degrees and we're going to run that for 45 seconds. So let me set that up. Okay, so now the heat press is going to get to the desired temperature. It takes a little while, so I'm not gonna bore you with watching this going up in temperature. But when it reaches temperature, we're gonna press the coasters and you'll see, you know, how beautiful they look. Okay, so now that we have reached temperature, I am about to press the coasters. And here we go. Countdown started. We will hear a beep when this is completed. In the meantime, I am putting on my heat resistant gloves because it's going to be super, super hot. There we go. Turn off the machine, swing it away, and remove this. And take these guys immediately and get them off the paper. Look at these beauties. I'm going to show them to you in more detail in a second. So here's one more thing that I want to do explain is that when you actually do the sublimation, a portion of the ink stays behind. This is how much ink stays behind on the paper, and that's completely normal. This is very concentrated ink and there is nothing wrong with that. Now here are the two coasters cooling off, and look at the vibrancy of the color. Trying to move away from the glare of the lights that I have here in the studio, but aren't they amazing? Isn't that incredible? They're so pretty. I'm telling you, this brand of coasters is amazing. I can't say enough good things about it. Highly recommend it. They are sold by Heat Press Nation if you want to go and check them out. They have plenty of sublimation blanks and they're all really good quality. All right, that's it. This is the process that I follow to make coasters. I hope that you learned something new today, and that this is going to encourage you to try it yourself. Until the next video.